Ryan Coogler's latest film, Sinners, is in theaters now, so let's talk about it. Hey everyone, I'm John Lunsford, and let's talk about the latest film to hit theaters, Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan in dual roles, along with Haley Steinfeld, Miles Caton, Jack O'Connell, Wunmi Mosaku, and more. This review is going to be non-spoiler for those who haven't seen it, but I will have a few spoiler thoughts at the end, and I'll give plenty of notice before I dive into those if you have not seen the film yet. For those that don't know, Sinners is a supernatural horror film written, produced, and directed by Ryan Coogler, who also directed Black Panther and its sequel Wakanda Forever, along with Creed, and he started his career with Fruitvale Station, and all of those films featuring Michael B. Jordan in one way or another. In this film, Michael B. Jordan stars as Smoke and Stack, collectively known as the Smokestack twins throughout the movie, who are identical twin brothers who served in World War I and then have lived the past several years in Chicago. They've come home to Mississippi and are suddenly flush with cash, planning to buy an old sawmill to turn into a juke joint for the local community. As they reconnect with old friends and old lovers, while also trying to navigate the Jim Crow South, they don't know that there's actually an even more sinister plot brewing just down the road. This is a film I was cautiously optimistic for. Don't let the Midsummer poster behind me fool you. I'm not a big horror fan. And despite the fact that I thought this looked good outside the horror elements, I was afraid it was going to be a little too much to make me not as big a fan of it. However, I loved every minute of this film. It clocks in at about 2 hours and 17 minutes, which is longer than the typical horror film is, but honestly, it didn't really feel that long. A lot of the length comes from the world building that happens, and it's important to make you understand all of the characters, their motivations, their pasts, and the world that they currently live in, which is 1932 Mississippi. I won't say it was perfectly paced, but it was important to the story. There really weren't any aspects of the film that felt like they did not belong there. Right from the beginning, Ryan Coogler is almost showing off at his ability to pull off Michael A. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan in twin roles. Not only are they the same person in real life, but the choreography between two twins in sync had to be flawless even between two different people, much less using movie magic to make it the same person. Something as simple as passing back and forth a cigarette between the twins early on set the stage for what you knew was going to be a well put together movie. The movie actually starts with a character named Sammy, played by newcomer Miles Caton, who I would argue is actually the main character of the story. Sammy is the cousin of Smoke and Stack and a talented blues guitar player who they enlist to play that night at the juke joint. Caton puts on multiple incredible performances in the film, having already performed with many stars in real life as an R&B singer. The music is what really takes this film to the next level, and honestly, I would 100% consider this a musical. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but more than this movie being about vampires or anything else, it's about how music has a special power beyond that of almost anything else in this world and how it can heal and hurt everything in life. And music is what ultimately calls Remick, the lead vampire played by Jack O'Connell, to come to their establishment. There's a powerful musical number that is both out of place and right at home when the power of music kind of turns the juke joint into a scene of music past and music future all in one. I'll kind of leave it at that, but when it hits, you'll know what I'm talking about, and it's an incredible scene. Supporting Caton and Jordan are the two main female characters, Mary, played by Haley Steinfeld, and Annie, played by Wunmi Mosaku. Mary is the ex-girlfriend of Stack, who is upset that Stack abandoned her to go north, and Annie is the ex-partner of Smoke, who shows an interest in the occult and claims that all of her rituals are what kept the twins safe while they were both in the war and in Chicago. I think Wunmi Mosaku is actually one of the MVPs of this film. She is definitely becoming a bigger name in Hollywood, most recently being a part of the MCU as Hunter B-15 in Loki and Deadpool and Wolverine, and I actually got to first know her in Lovecraft Country, and I think there's a lot of Lovecraft Country in this film as well. I said it in my Out of the Theater reaction, and I stand by it here. This film is a mix of Lovecraft Country and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? There's a lot of similar themes, music, and ultimately horrors. If you just wanted to go see a fun, gory horror movie, this probably isn't for you. Sure, there's plenty of vampires and humans fighting and killing each other in bloody fashion, but I'd argue this movie is so much more than that. The only thing keeping me from giving this a perfect score is mostly the aspect ratio changes. If you saw my How I Review Movies video, there's a lot of my review that goes into the technical aspect of the film, and this film was shot on both IMAX and Ultra Panavision cameras, which makes the scenes alternate between aspect ratios. I saw this in IMAX, and the scenes that fill the screen are incredible, but there are times that the ratio swapping was a little weird and off-putting. There's even a couple of scenes where it slowly grows into an IMAX camera shot, showing like, hey, this is about to be important, and in some ways that's cool, but in some ways it's kind of off-putting. The only other complaint would be the length, although it's very minor. I did enjoy the world building, but like I said before, it's not all perfectly paced and it does drag a little bit at times, but that's a very minor complaint. I'll also tell you that there's both a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene, so make sure to stick around for those, especially the mid-credit scene. All in all, I would definitely put this film in must-see territory. If you don't like violence, there's plenty of it, so I understand staying away for that reason, but if you can handle it all, it's worth the watch. And it's worth seeing in IMAX or a premium format if you can, because of the music and the impressive sound design. All right, so now a few spoiler thoughts. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it and come back. I'll give you a second. 3, 2, 1. All right, so when it comes to the third act, I didn't really want to get into that with the non-spoiler review since I want everybody to see it play out for themselves. I kind of like the why of the vampires. Trying to use the fact that, hey, becoming a vampire will free you from racial persecution and grant you immortality and power. Kind of offers up an interesting question. Do you wait and deal with the clan that's totally coming for you the next day, but you're at least being yourself, or do you turn into a vampire so that you can take them out? Basically, there are multiple kinds of monsters out there, and ultimately none of them want to be any kind of monster. They just want to be themselves, and they want to work hard and make a good life for themselves and their families. Now, every single one of them, for the most part, gets turned into a vampire and ultimately dies, except for Stack and Mary, like we see at the end, and of course, Sammy survives as well. But I like the way the story played out, that everyone at the juke joint wanted to fight for themselves, and not for the monsters, but against them, whether it's the vampires or the clan. We see Smoke use all the firepower at his disposal to kill the clan members at the end, proving that Remmick's prediction does come true, but he's ultimately shot and reunites with Annie and their child. I really like Smoke and Annie's story better than Stack and Mary's, although I did enjoy both aspects. The back and forth on whether Annie's hoodoo actually worked, because we see it, of course, protect Smoke throughout the movie, but he also brings up multiple times how it doesn't protect their daughter. I like the back and forth on kind of the mystery of whether it works or not. The fact that we see Smoke rip the bag off before going after the clan members, I think shows he's lost everything and he's willing to risk it all to A, take down the clan and protect what's his, and B, if it does all end for him, he will at least reunite with his family, and we see that scene play out as he's dying, but also kills Hogwood. The thing I loved most about this movie, like I said, was the music. The scene of past, present, and future was a bit jarring at first when an electric guitar and a DJ show up, but as it continues to play out and the building burns down around them, you're just so sucked in, pun kind of intended, to the music and the power that it has to control the world. I like how Sammy didn't abandon the guitar at the end and continued doing what he loved. And I also liked how the vampires and humans basically had their own forms of music and almost kind of dueled with them at times. Like I said earlier in my review, this film is 100% a musical, whether it's classified that way or not. And it's going to be one that I remember for a long time. So what did you think of Sinners? Did you like it? Was it everything the Rotten Tomatoes and Letterboxd scores and my review said it would be? Let me know in the comments, and make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Pop Culture Life for more movie reviews, out of the theater reactions, TV show reviews, and so much more.